Good evening and welcome to this Sunday night edition of the Back Talk Bros. We're missing our B, but we are ACK right now. And on this episode, we're going to make Mod Mother Liz's birthday wish by answering some of her questions that are all geared towards Travis Kelce. So we invite you to participate with us on this, and then we'll have a little bit of Q&A after we address some of those issues. So right now, we're going to hit our intro.
Y'all ready for them Chiefs? Y'all ready for them Chiefs? Let's go! Chiefs! 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 Chiefs!
If you didn't get to see that, you're late.
That's right. We don't wait around here other than Gooch. So as I said here, Mod Mother Liz's birthday was, when was it, Aaron?
Wednesday.
I knew that, but I was giving you a chance to. No, I'm kidding. I was going to say I was giving you a chance to redeem yourself, but anyway.
She got her
So
watch today. She's happy.
she got her birthday present. That'll be great for her with her work and not being able to carry her cell phone on her all day long, but she'll still be able to know when doctors are calling or texting or whatever happens there. But anyway, we asked Liz for this Sunday as part of her birthday gift from the three of us to pick the topic for this Sunday night. And so we threw that to Liz, and we're going to be talking a lot about Travis. What do you think about that, Aaron?
I like it. I don't think it gets talked about enough. I don't think we've ever really talked about him.
I remember debating
Here,
Gooch
here and there.
on the huddle about Travis, and I think that was the first time that I got an "Are you serious?" reaction from Gooch. So I think we were talking about Tony G and Travis, and which one of them is the Chiefs' all-time best tight end, and so yeah, sometimes I let, just like Gooch, no matter how much he would not want to admit it, sometimes we let out our fan side, our emotive side, and suspend logic for a minute. And maybe that was my moment, but I don't care because I like Travis, and so I'm happy to be talking about this, even though some of the things Liz asked us we had to do research on instead of just giving our uneducated opinions on, and so I do have a problem with that. So, insert Gooch cackle. Yeah, I will get a I have enough film to make that recording, Liz. There's
Easily.
I got to remember what film it was, but there was a perfect spot the other day when we were recording of just like nothing but the Gooch cackle. So we can easily do that. But
I like calling it a cackle.
well, he does say that he indulges in the dark arts. So I'm assuming Gooch is probably East Coast, mid.
I don't know which way he means that though.
Knowing Gooch, probably both ways.
Might not ever know for sure. Is that Jordan and Magic behind you?
That is Michael Jordan guarding Magic Johnson. I know that's something foreign to LeBron fans and current NBA fans of
What, guarding?
Their favorite superstar playing defense. And so, yeah. You know it. And then I got my Harry Carey plate behind me as well. And you can't see my Chief stuff anymore because of the way I rearranged things. But I got my Chief stuff there, and my Super Bowl confetti hidden by.
Were you a Cubs fan at all?
I don't know. Am I a Cubs fan?
There we go. Okay. I was always Royals, and Cubs was my National League team. Even though I lived in the White Sox area.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of a weird mix. Growing up in Iowa, you get to choose football. You get to choose whether you're a Vikings fan or a Packers fan or Bears fan or Chiefs fan or especially back then, Rams fan before they left St. Louis, and so we kind of got to choose there. Baseball was a different story because we only got like 10 channels, and one of them was WGN and one of them was TBS. So I saw my life share of Cubs and White Sox and Braves games. So
My dad always got a kick out of them letting Harry Carey drink during the games. He caught the ball with his bare hand. No, he didn't. He's got a glove.
it's kind of like the Bob Uecker character from Major Leagues was totally based off of Harry Carey in my mind.
It wasn't horribly far off.
Well, Liz,
Yeah, it
we're
was like
stalling
that.
here on this first subject. Like I said, Liz made us do research on this, and she said that she wants to discuss Travis, and her first question to us is he the greatest in the NFL or just KC? So
I think he's definitely the greatest in the
was gonna say that-
NFL right now.
this one for me is
Is
an
he
easy
ever?
one.
Ever, I think he is, because nobody's had the 1,000 yards seasons strung together like he has.
Right.
Tony did have some people draped all over him, but Kelce has the last couple of years. They have not really been calling stuff.
That is very true. There's a lot of illegal contact that defenders are getting away with, and
Well after 5 yards.
part of it is that even though they do half the time, Travis can still get open, so refs are just kind of. But yeah, I mean, it's a hard one, right? Because, and I think this is where I said, Gooch and I kind of got in an argument maybe about a year ago on the huddle talking about this subject. It's like, you really have to explain in your mind what you're looking for in a tight end and how you view that position, because we know a lot of the greats, from past decades and generations were great blockers, or, at least
Well,
pretty good.
Tony had Dunn, so he wasn't
Right.
really the blocking tight end.
Right, but you think like maybe Shannon Sharp, and you think of some of the guys they at least had to go up against, right? Like Shannon Sharp had to block Derek Thomas, and you think of some of these like the guys that had to block LT, and but yeah, I mean that's part of it. It's kind of how you view the blocking part of it, and do you want a straight up great blocker like Jason Dunn or even George Kittle, who I believe his father is an offensive line coach or was an offensive line coach in college?
That makes more sense now.
Right. And so, all I'm trying to say is a lot of it depends on each person. It's a personal thing, right? It depends on what factors you determine make a great tight end. And to what extent you're willing to give up one for the other, because I think what we can all agree on is that Travis is right there in the discussion for the greatest receiving tight end. And, Gooch would throw out Tony's numbers. And, that's another part of the greatest conversation you have is what part longevity plays in it.
Yeah.
And do you take a guy who has a 2 or 3 year where they're really good, like a Priest Holmes, like a Dante Hall as a returner? Do you take a guy who has a lot of longevity? Like this is where you start getting into in all of sports, right? Hank Aaron or Babe Ruth. Hank Aaron passed Babe Ruth because he had more longevity, Is Emmitt Smith better than Barry Sanders because Emmitt Smith had, greater longevity. And I'm with you, Aaron.
Emmett
I would
Smith
say no.
wouldn't even say it, though.
I
Emmett
think Aaron
Smith still looked at him as the best.
I think this is a completely overrated running back personally, but I do think it's part of the discussion that people have, and so
The offensive line and the fullback.
I'm not trying to shy away from answering, Liz. I'm trying to give the fullest answer that I can possibly get. I see that Gooch is in the comments here, so I'm going to put these up here real quick, and we won't skip anyone. We'll go back to the comments here, but Gooch says this is where it really boils down to your preference, but the only argument for not Travis is Gronk. Okay, but are you? What do you mean by for Gronk? Because Gronk, as far as we know right now, is retired. So until he, right? I haven't heard he's coming back. I heard he was retired.
Yeah, as far as I know, he's retired. He hasn't been tucked back in yet.
Yeah, and last season wasn't that great. So, yeah, I mean,
mostly blocking because he is a big dude.
The whole 5 years of 1,000 yards plus, I mean, that's a really hard one. So,
and Travis is not a bad blocker.
No, he's not a bad blocker.
He can lay some shots. He can chip.
He does what he's asked to do, and I can't think of many times where he's actually blown his assignment on a block. Where he's been asked to do something and he's unable to do it.
Right.
And I expect him to get better, and we'll get into that just as part of some of Liz's other questions and topics that she's going to have us go to. So, let's see, Gooch, great receiver, killer blocker. Okay, but we're talking about Gronk like what, 4 years ago? Like before the first time he retired or kind of retired or whatever we want to call it, because he certainly wasn't last year. Last year he was like a shell of himself.
For sure.
And even those years when he was a great receiver, he still didn't come close to Travis's consistency, especially over that 5-year stretch.
Is it 7 seasons over 1,000?
Did he get to 1,000 this last season?
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, he's the top tight end in the game right now, not just in Kansas City. Until he has a huge drop off.
Looks like 6.
That's where I'm at. That's my answer. We'll hit some chat here and see what everybody else thinks. Here, let me hit this before Scott, I did the logo. Thank you. Liz said that. Hey, Knight. I am great. How are you? Just trying to stay cool here, guys. It is hot.
Matt, good to see you.
Let's see. Do we have any conversation in here? I'm not sure how to take that comment, but I can tell you right now that I have not been around Amber Heard, so that's all I'm going to say about that. I would like to see Travis play safety once. What about you, Aaron?
Travis play safety?
Yeah, just once.
He'd do a hell of a lot better than Gronk. I can say that safely.
The funny thing is that was on a Bill Belichick coach team, and I can't imagine that part of Bill's coaching philosophy is to put a player in a position that they've never been in before. But anyway.
Or couldn't do.
Yeah,
Seems
I mean,
like I won a fantasy game because of it.
that's kind of what I was getting at. The position has changed, and so that's part of it too. It's part of what era you've lived through, and it's like everybody who thinks LeBron is the GOAT now. Well, not only have they not bothered to actually dive into the analytics, that would suggest otherwise. They
There's a good
also
tape for that.
there's a great 30-minute tape on YouTube that gets into the analytics side of it and breaks down the fact that basically 2/3 of all of LeBron's shots come within 3 feet of the basket. And so, I mean, that's one of the biggest nails in the coffin for me. But anyway, that's part of it. Those of us who watched Jordan and even, I don't want to say Kobe, because that's, back to me, that era is when you got to start taking 5 or 6 step travels if you were a star. But like Jordan and pre-Jordan, when they still played defense and it was completely legal to have 3 or 4 guys basically tackle you if you were going to the rim, so that changes your mindset a little bit when you're comparing eras. And so, yeah, that's a great point. Kellen Winslow. Yeah, and again, it kind of goes to the extent that you choose, right? I think I threw this out the other day. If you wouldn't say that an edge rusher, you wouldn't say that an edge player, right, a defensive end, wasn't great because they're really great at rushing the passer and getting 16 sacks a year, but they're not good at defending the run. You wouldn't say that player is not the if that person was far and away the leader in sacks, at that position, you wouldn't say, well, but he sucks against the run, so he's not the best. You know what I mean? So it's part of the position. Blocking and receiving are both part of the position. But it's even more than that. It's not just there's a lot of things that go into being a receiver, first off. But even if you break it down that way, to me, I see it the same way. Okay, you take an edge player. Is he great at defending the run? Is he great at rushing the passer? Right? Those are 2 important parts of the position. But if you can get 16 or 20 sacks a season, you can be the greatest at your position while still not being good at defending the run. And then you can be Frank Clark and be bad at both and still make $25-30 million.
I wouldn't say he's bad against the run, but his run defense definitely does not make up for the lack of pass rush. And let's do one move every play and get bear hugged from behind and just, that's the play. I'm not doing any more.
Scott, you don't get to ask the questions. This is all Liz. No, I'm kidding. Better safety or quarterback? The interesting thing is I do believe I have a quote that I'm going to put up here in a little bit when we get to answering more of Liz's questions. So, Scott, remind us to come back to this. Wait.
That's a good question, though. I like that. I think he'd be a better QB. They just don't give him much option, and then Pat is supposed to be one of his receivers, and he's not allowed to throw to him. So,
well, I'll say this: since he played quarterback in the past, at least he has that experience, right? So,
yeah.
And again, I think I have the quote. Maybe I don't have the quote, but
he's got several rushing touchdowns.
I would say Travis has learned a lot about being a quarterback more now that he's been a receiving tight end. So I would go with quarterback.
Saying where he's going to go and where Tyreek should go, and
right. Well, I don't even think Gooch is that old, so
not quite. It does not surprise me.
Gooch, if you want some help with that, I'll do it. I can help you out with it.
Power and light?
I'm assuming that's profits and losses. He's doing the books.
I was wanting him to explain it though.
Hey. All right, let's
What happened
let's
there?
get back. Let's get back into some more of
Here's Holly.
Liz's questions for us. So Liz asks, "What is Travis's camp like?" She's talking about the Tight End University Summit that Travis is doing with 49ers tight end George Kittle and retired tight end. I just lost his name. Greg. What's his last name? I just lost it.
Greg.
Olson. Greg Olson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those three are the ones who are doing it. So, yeah, so what is that camp like and why, when did he start it? Last year, 2021, was the first season that they did it. I'm not sure if there's an exact origin story there. My assumption, this is what I'm going to go with, is that after the Chiefs beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl, George and Travis talked, and George said, "Man, I really want to learn to be the best receiving tight end in the world like you. Can you give me some pointers?" And then Travis said, "Sure, but you got to teach me to block a little bit better." And then, they started talking. I don't know. That's my assumption.
I think it started as a joke, and then just like the what is it, tight end day,
Right.
and then they ended up doing it. And they're passing along their knowledge now.
Yeah. So she says, "What's it like and how or why and when did it start?" So what's it like? I had to do some research on this because there's not a lot of information out there, right? It's not like they're filming the whole thing and letting the public see it. It is professional.
In one clip.
It is professional tight ends with some former tight ends, and everybody's just kind of sharing their own tips, their own secrets, and so. They talked about they start out their first night and they just kind of hang out. They kind of have a party on a rooftop, drink and eat, and kind of have fun there.
Them.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like Travis. Probably George as well. He went to the University of Iowa, so
beer.
You can't go to the University of Iowa and not drink beer. In fact, like that's after a Hawkeye football win, they sing "In Heaven There Is No Beer." So. I know George is probably a big drinker as well, but and so that's the first night, and then the next 2 days it's like it's in the classroom and it's on the field. They bring in special guests. They bring in physical therapists to talk about alternative ways to like do recovery, and it looks like they do some yoga and different meditation.
Is he trying to get me to say her real age, or
I think he's
it's
just
not happening?
I think he's just flirting with her and trying to be nice. But they work on route running, releases, reading, the defensive back, setting up the defensive back, blocking.
The clip that I saw was him teaching how he runs his short routes.
Yeah, and he talks about how to set up the routes. Travis does,
Kelce,
and
yeah.
so like everybody they bring in, because Travis, George, and Greg Olson do things. They brought in Mercedes Lewis, because he had 18-year career. So he was one of the ones talking about career longevity, how to take care of your body,
He's still going as far as I know.
How to have that long career and stay healthy. But yeah, they brought in a lot of people. He talked about bringing in Antonio Gates. I think Tony Gonzalez was going to appear this year. I didn't see if he actually did or not, but he was reported to going to be stopping by for a day or so. And so all these different guys, I'll just say I didn't see that they were going to have Jason Dunn come in, and I'm not sure why not like take some blocking lessons from Jason Dunn.
He was a giant also, though.
But yeah, so I mean, they really are. They're sharing their tips, the things that they've learned over the years, how they prepare. They were watching film together. They were watching film with guys like Antonio Gates to see, what they're looking for as they're watching film. And just a whole host of these different things. And I think part of the origin of this is actually Travis's brother Jason. Like Travis talked about how when he made that transition from quarterback to tight end, he was kind of just a quarterback who just went out and did things. He didn't know how to, read a defense or set up a defense, and he didn't care about the cerebral side of football. He was just a go out and have fun guy. That doesn't sound like Kels, right? But his brother Jason, as an offensive lineman, started teaching him some of the things as he was a tight end, as he transitioned to tight end, started teaching him, some of these more cerebral things. And then he started to really get interested in that side of football and sharing that information. So I think for him, this started all the way back then. I don't know if that's a sufficient answer for Liz or not.
We'll say it is. I'll hear
Aaron,
it.
do we have any chat to hit before we move on here?
There's something about satin. Come on, that was a good one. That was my dad joke for the evening.
All right, so how much longer can we expect him to play at his high caliber when he's going to be turning 33 during this season? I think that's a question a lot of us
I think Liz is behind.
I think this is a question that a lot of us want to know. To one extent, with medicine where it's at, recovery, technology, and science where it's at, it's totally possible to, in my mind, to have greater longevity than people before were able to. And yet, there were still people who really took care of their bodies. People like Jerry Rice, like I don't care much for Emmitt Smith, but he still played for a long time. And so, it's definitely there. The tools are there for Travis if he is willing to put in the work that long. And part of it, I think, is having a mental hunger, right? And so, and part of it is luck as well. Not having a freak injury. And so, he's working out each season. Last season, I saw clips of him working on his speed. He was doing some parachute running and things like that. And so, I think that as long as he's dedicated to it and his heart's in it, that he's probably going to be fine. Unless defenses just really find a way to take Travis's game away and he can't adapt. He's so smart at finding the holes that even as he loses speed, and he's training to keep speed right now, right? But even as he loses speed, he's still going to be able to find holes and find ways to get open. What do you think, Aaron?
I think he will. How long will he, though? How many more hits can he take? So that was a lot of Gronk's problem, is he'd get hit, and he was sick of being hurt, so he retired.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that kind of depends on the direction that the offense takes, right? Is Andy going to go in a direction to take some of that off of Travis, and in
Prolong his career.
taking some of it off of Travis, actually opening things up for Travis, if that makes sense. Instead of one target, greater quality of targets, right?
How much does he get double covered now? Does that free the others up? And then in turn, free him up? I think we'll be seeing a lot more spreading the ball around.
Yeah. And I mean, really, that's what we're all waiting to find out, right? Because at this point, it's going to be a read and react between our offense and defenses. Are they going to start out playing us the same way they have been playing us? Are they going to continue to play us that no matter what we do on defense or offense? And, what does our offense look like? I think we'll have a little bit better idea come preseason games, but right now it's really speculative,
Very true. And I think I'm a lot funnier than several comedians.
Oh, I almost made a comment there. Not directed at you, Aaron, but I almost made a comment there that probably would have got me in trouble. There's a section of comedy that I just don't think is funny at all.
If I had the guts to get up on stage, too. Liz thinks she's funny. Or thinks Matt's funny.
This is where if Gooch were on, he'd probably say something like funny looking.
Looks aren't everything.
He'd have some kind of jab on there.
That's what I would usually do. I'm pretty funny, but looks aren't everything.
Well, what we were talking about, Liz, is that, like, especially if you go back to the Bills game, there was, like, I think it was a mic'd up segment. Aaron, do you remember? I think it was a mic'd up segment. And Travis was both on his own play.
In the Buffalo game.
In the Buffalo game, sorry.
For 13 seconds.
On his play, he was telling Pat what he was going to do. But on Tyreek's play before that, he was telling Tyreek how to run his route to create more separation, to get the defender going this way, one way, so that Tyreek could cut back more towards the middle of the field and create some more cushion there. So that's what we're talking about. Like, Travis was telling Tyreek what to do on that play. So I think it's going to be kind of funny to see. And who knows what the Dolphins ask him to do this year, but certainly Tyreek lacks some of that spatial awareness that Travis is really gifted at, and helps make Travis a really good tight end.
I think some of his time as a QB helped with that as well. As he was already a heady player, but his brother got him more into it. So you have to have some brain to play quarterback. Something Gronk couldn't do.
Okay, next question here. The biggest question, do we have a player on the roster that can be slotted to replace him when the time comes for him to retire, or is that something we need to focus on in the upcoming draft or trade? And I feel like this is a loaded question, Liz.
I don't know how you exactly replace him. It would take multiple. I think Jody is probably the closest to being able to do what he does physically and with receiving. But Gray is a former quarterback as well.
Yeah,
So he might have some mental, and he has good hands. I don't know if he has the athleticism.
yeah. I believe when they drafted Gray, there was talk about them having liked him for a year or two and been following him, and seeing a lot of similarities between Travis and Noah. You know,
And I
like I say
thought,
though, like I think what separates Travis, from other tight ends isn't necessarily the athletic part. It is the mental part, and that's going to be something that's it's hard to get in another tight end, no matter who they are. And part of that, is what are their mental capabilities, and the other part is, how dedicated are they to the craft. And maybe we'll see, even again in preseason or so, maybe we'll see a little bit more out of Noah Gray this year. I think we talked about on a different episode, being a rookie tight end, you kind of have a lot thrown at you in this offense, because you got to learn to to play tight end in this offense, but you also, as a receiver, but you also have to take it up a level when you're blocking.
I thought we would see more out of him last year than we did, though. Especially with his lack of drops in college.
Yeah, I think he had like one drop in, I don't remember the number now, something like 113 chances in college. Oh, sorry. You go
We
ahead.
both had it. Well, I wasn't sure where we were at. Yeah, that's basically what I would say is Kelce sees the field more as a QB than most tight ends would. Um, Gooch seems to think his production goes down, but he still hits 1,000 yards. But they're going to try and save him. I could see that. Bingo. We aren't playing that game right now. Chances of finding someone with that Kelce mindset could take a bit. Agreed. And I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to tight end since who was the Notre Dame kid I liked a lot. I don't think he got used really at all
From this year or last year?
from last year.
Claypool? Is it Claypool you're talking about?
No.
Um,
We were talking about turning him into a tight end. He wasn't an actual tight end. I can't think of the kid's name. Very, very high character kid from Notre Dame.
who cares
That's
about high
mostly
character?
that's mostly why I liked him.
Well, I'll just say this: if you were looking for a high character player, certainly
I
on your
guess we're not going
list.
to hear that.
What's
You were
that?
breaking up. I'll just say this, and then you broke up.
I said I'll just say this: if you're going to go with high character for your tight end draft prospects, then you wouldn't have drafted Travis because of all of his antics, like especially his early NFL immaturity.
I'll say I care more about it now than I did back then.
So, all right, let's move on here, and we'll get to the next part of Liz's question. Wait, did we technically answer that? I think we did without giving like a straight yes or no, right?
Before that was Alberto, which it sounds like he's going to start this year for Denver. So I don't know if I like that.
So I think, Liz, we said that, like, as far as athletic ability, Jody Fortson, could come the closest to replacing him. As an all-around player based on the original assessments and hype. We still have to see from Noah Gray, but the initial hype was that he would be a lot like Travis. But we really have to see if any of these guys develop a hunger. And I do believe that Jody and Noah have at least attended one of the two tight end university summits. I do believe. So that should help. But, I mean, they should be. They should be picking Travis's brain every opportunity they get.
Yeah.
And if they don't, it's a huge detriment. So, like, I would be...
And what are you doing here?
Exactly. I mean, you can't squander an opportunity like that,
Learn from at least one of the best to ever play.
Aloha, Maui.
Good to see you, Maui.
All right, so then Liz says, what makes him so reliable? He isn't bigger, faster, or younger, but he's all reliable. The go-to, even with 2+ defenders at times. I think we covered this, right? It's his ability. Well, one, it's his spatial awareness. He knows where the defenders are and where he needs to get to be open, but he also understands things like his angle when he's receiving the ball, how to position himself to block off defenders from even having a chance, most of the time anyway, of getting the ball. He's also great on his routes at setting up setting up defensive backs. So, I think that's really, those things are what makes him so reliable.
Him and Pat are on the same page.
Right. And he has a playmaker mentality because, when it comes to yards after catch, even at his age last year, we saw, what was it, the Chargers game, right, where he willed his way in, was it to a touchdown, like 40-yard clutch touchdown at the end of that game. You remember what I'm talking about, Aaron?
I definitely do.
So, and he certainly wasn't a spring chicken for that. So
he's also a team guy, just like tossing that ball back for LaShawn McCoy to take another 20, 30 yards. Which I think would have been touchdown if McCoy was younger. Or in his prime. Was that for the win? I didn't remember that part. I knew it was towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, and there was he made 8 players miss. It was something ridiculous.
Broke a couple tackles at least.
And again, he doesn't
good angles.
He doesn't necessarily have the same speed that he used to have, but he understands angles. Right? So just a great spatial awareness. And part of that, I'm not sure how much you can train yourself to gain spatial awareness or not.
So it was overtime. I thought it might have been to get into overtime. That is coming back to me now. You should probably get in here and say that.
Yeah, Gooch, stop choosing doing your job over.
He can do both. We've seen it before.
Well, he does. No.
We haven't seen him mess with numbers, I guess, though.
I was gonna joke and say he does neither well, but the truth is he does both well. So can't even joke around about it.
You could. You just might have to explain to him that you're joking.
If he doesn't know that by now, we're not really friends. So, and that leaves him with just one friend.
What if he's only half paying attention, though?
Joe Buck sounding exciting calling a Chiefs game.
I can't stand that guy. I don't know what his deal is against Kansas City, but I don't really care. I'd rather not hear him talk to even explain it.
Well, are we done with the Travis talk? Are we gonna go on to? Oh, we got to go back. No, we answered Scott's question, right, about Travis being a better safety or quarterback. Yeah, we hit that.
Did we?
Yeah, we both said quarterback.
Okay, yeah. He'd still be a better safety than Gronk. Understanding angles helps in that too.
Any possible scenario you could envision trading Travis? Man. I think the only way you could entertain it is if you had a full receiving room and tight end room with loads of potential. I mean, I think that's about it, right? He at least professes to be committed to building his legacy. He's not asking for top tight end money. You know, he's currently way undervalued with his contract. And so everything he says suggests that money is not going to push him out of being in a Chiefs uniform. And with that the case, I mean, it would take a huge drop off in his ability, and it would take the rest of the tight ends behind him being so much better.
Deal. Somebody would have to give us a giant deal.
Right. So
for us to even consider it.
Probably all three of those things right there. So
with him being almost 33, yeah, I don't see anybody with a giant deal for him to leave Kansas City.
Hey, Wink, welcome in. Maybe you've already been here and I'm just now seeing it, but
good to see you.
Always fun. We appreciate everybody joining us here on this hot Sunday night. We suck at this part because it's not really what like what we're focused on or what we're thinking about. But every once in a while, we're reminded that this is a YouTube channel, and we want to remind you, therefore, to hit the like, and if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Share it, all that fun stuff. But yeah. Anyway, with that out of the way. Let's get into some more chats now. Yeah, I think Wink hit it perfectly there. Only if he wants out.
I don't see him wanting out.
Is that if we traded him, Liz? If we traded Travis, you'd throw in the towel?
She's trying not to give her age up. No.
Oh, I forgot. I was supposed to go with follow Gooch's theme and be like, "You've been a Chiefs fan since you were -5."
Ha 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 ha. Yes, -5.
You know, I'm gonna say this. Your wife doesn't watch, I presume, but this is easily doable. And if she thinks that like you're making this huge concession, it's kind of funny because I mean you don't have to worry about the Lions being competitive. So, I mean, and it's the NFC as well. So, I'm kidding.
But they had the best running back ever. They didn't support him much, but they had the best running back ever.
I'm gonna let you start with this one, Aaron.
Do you think Noah Gray is going to step up this year? I think more so than last year, but I don't know how much is stepping up. How much can he step up when he's got two guys in front of him? Can he become a better blocker? Yes. As far as being the pass catcher, he had a pretty good touchdown there. So he's got hands. Plus his college tape shows that he doesn't drop.
Right.
Typically. Any clue how many drops he had here last year? I want to say 3.
No,
Everybody was dropping last year. And I know we said, at what point does it become Pat's fault?
Yeah, I'll say this, Holly.
Weird arm angles.
I don't know that I can give that answer again without seeing preseason, but I'll say this. If he doesn't, I'm going to be concerned about him being on this team moving forward. I think you can give him last year as a pass, for the reasons we already said. Again, I mean, look at Josh Gordon, his first year last year with the team. Darius Fountain made the team, but he wasn't necessarily lighting things up, either.
Gordon was dropping a lot more than him.
And CEH has yet to be a pass option on this team, despite having a great college career doing just that. So, as a running back. So, I think there's an extent to where you can give Noah Gray the benefit of having a rookie season and learning all these things and going through all these issues. And I really think that even then part of it, something that we saw with Pat was, there wasn't Pat didn't go out of his way last year to make sure that he had a great connection with every single receiver in the off season, and afterwards. Like Travis and Tyreek were the connections, and everybody else was a second or third thought. And with all the changes this year, I think they've seen that they can't be quite as complacent as they were before, that they have to come in with a greater intensity each year and be more focused. And so I'll be disappointed.
Ask Travis a lot of questions.
Right.
Hey,
yeah.
Doug.
He should. He should be picking Travis's ear all day long. He should be looking for every source he can get to get better.
Shadow him.
And, I hope the Chiefs also give him those sources, but if not, and regardless, he should be doing that on his own. And it kind of goes back to something I said last year with McColl kind of giving this cop-out answer that he played the role last year that he was asked to play, and one of the comments I made after that was, you got to force the issue, right? Even if they put you in this role, and this is the role that you're delegated to, make yourself better so that they have no option but to increase and change your role. Like, it's on you. So I hope so. I'm going to be very disappointed if he doesn't. So
another guy that should be talking to Kelce also.
So I'm going to say yes. I think he will, because if not, the alternative is I'm really concerned about how serious he is about being an NFL player. You got one of the greatest receiving tight ends of all time as your teammates. You got one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, one of the greatest head coaches of all time, and you're on a perennial winner and perennial Super Bowl contender. And if you're still not serious enough about football, then you need to just retire and find something else to do. I think we agree with that. I think we'd all be shocked and disappointed if that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And maybe some of that is, Travis has seen kind of some of the fan pushback from Tony. Not that all, that wasn't all Tony's fault, but yeah, I mean, it helps when your quarterback is here for like a decade plus, and they're already locked in to be here for a decade plus, and that you can finish out your career, with someone you love, as a brother, and someone you love to play with. Like they have great chemistry together. Hey, Doug, welcome in.
You're the last to say it, man.
Holly. Yeah, there was definitely something weird going on there. I'm sure it was just a coincidence of Greg Lewis becoming the wide receiver coach last year. Is that what it was? I don't remember. He went from receiver coach to running back coach, and Joe Blameyer took over.
That concerned me about the running backs because I think there's something wrong with him coaching.
Yeah,
I think McColl should have moved farther in his years.
But again, I'm going to say, regardless of the individual coaches, like it's still on you,
definitely
right?
On him, yeah.
Because even McColl, you can still be talking to Travis, even though he's a tight end. You can still learn some things from Travis. You can learn some things from Tyreek. You can go seek out, other receivers.
Exactly.
And you can approach your quarterback and, try to get that connection built.
Because Tyreek didn't get to where he is by just sitting at home. He went and worked on himself. And he went to classes and camps.
Yeah. And some of that was a pride issue. That Jalen Ramsey.
Well, it should be.
all pro returner comment, like he still keeps that comment today to drive him.
Motivate.
Yeah. So.
Lack of concentration for who, Matt? Sorry, did we answer that?
I don't think so. On all of our receivers, I mean it seems hard to believe that it was a concentration issue when it was basically every single receiver and tight end there.
Or was that? Okay.
I think that some of it wink. I think there's a lot of adjustments to just being an NFL player. And you throw in, the whole receiving aspect of it as a tight end and, the blocking aspect of it. This isn't Duke. It's not Duke, and you're not playing off, right there, regardless of even having to take it up another level or two. Did I say hi to Doug? Doug, if I didn't say hi, welcome in. Good to see you. I don't remember if I did or not.
You're last and second to last now. I'm not funny, huh, Matt? Did I get back to your question that you had up? Was that it?
Yeah, exactly. Whoever it is, right? And there's enough receivers that we brought in this year that everybody can be sharing with everybody. You know, I'll say this, like, I'm sure there's even something that Travis can learn from Sky Moore, you know, just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Like, there's always something, and that's part of going back to the tight end university summit. There was like close to, I want to say, 90 tight ends this year. And, you know,
Jeez.
each of them has something they can contribute, even the guys who've barely been tight ends. There's something you can always pick up, something you can learn from somebody else, you know, even if it's a different perspective that can just like trigger a different thought in your head.
Most of these guys learned from different people in college. So, I mean, Kelce went to Cincinnati. What other tight end do you know from Cincinnati? Or
Oh, you know what?
Duke.
I see Doug's comment here, and that reminds me. I think we got to go back and hit Maui's comment. I think Maui had a comment
great.
about Orlando. They got lost when we were talking about Travis. Is it on here? I swear there was one.
From Maui?
Yeah.
Orlando Holdout?
Yeah, that's probably it. I think some of you guys must have been in the RGR chat where I said we weren't going to talk about Orlando. I'm not going to say anything. I'll just pose the same question that I posed to Aaron and Gooch, because this is the same front office that basically developed the Trent Williams deal that he then took to the 49ers, and they basically matched it. So we're looking at the architects basically of the Trent Williams deal. And this is a great front office. They know I'm sure they've studied every other left tackle contract out there, because they've been preparing for this for a whole year. You know, I would assume that Orlando in some way has been preparing for it himself, because he didn't know whether he was going to represent himself or if he was going to hire an agent. So we are, we're less than 5 days away now from the deadline to sign an extension or to play on the franchise tag or not play at all. And so
Friday at 3.
My question is, what is the holdup? Because there should have been a lot of parameters that, you know, were already in place. So the fact that, you know, we're less than 5 days away now makes me think that at least one side is like they have drawn their line in the sand and they're sticking to their guns. Maybe both sides. And so, you know, are we at a stalemate, or are we at a standoff? Because it seems it just, I don't understand how a lot of the preparation hasn't been put into place to already basically have a framework that works for both sides, unless they're really far apart. So
could be the amount of years, could be the guaranteed money. It's hard to say.
And definitely Wink, but I think part of that is getting one side blanks in that situation usually, right? It's both sides kind of sticking to their gun, and then one side or both sides blank, and then you get the compromise, whether it's shared compromise or one-sided compromise, you know, whatever. But I hope that's not the case. I could be wrong. That's just my concern, because we have a front office, whether it was Mahomes' contract or other like I said, the Trent Williams contract that they basically designed. We have a front office who can be really creative. They've had a year to prepare, to think through all kinds of scenarios, and they do. They have a plan A through Z, and so in my mind, this is a front office that can move very quickly. If they're in agreement with the things that Orlando would be wanting, that would possibly hold up a deal. So,
which concerns me that it has to do with experience on the other side, or inexperience.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like. I'm just saying, I think it says something, right? There's something there that to me is concerning, and I know other people are more optimistic, but that's just kind of my realistic take on it. Like, you have a year to prepare. I don't think Veach has been sitting there twiddling his thumbs and being like, well, I'm not even going to think about this till he gets an agent, Like,
right.
He wanted to know where his cap situation was, months ago. He wants to know where his 2023 cap situation is, He wants to know what else he might have to do to tweak the offensive line. He doesn't want to put it off. So, I mean, it makes me think that it's Orlando's side, kind of like you said, whether it's the agent or Orlando just really wanting something that Veach or Clark Hunt or both are not willing to compromise on. That's a great point. I mean, you had that too. So, again, they were planning on extending Tyreek and bringing him back. So, I mean, they probably had, all kinds of scenarios that they were working through. It's like we told you we weren't going to talk about it, and you guys are just like, you're poking the bear. But the good thing is clearly Gooch isn't going to jump on in video, so we can say pretty much whatever. But I still think that would be a foolish thing to do.
Do anyway.
I think that would be a foolish thing to do. Again, it's not like he's played at a high level to where he can set out a year, and especially to set out a year during his prime. So, I mean, to me, it would be utter foolishness. And I said this in the RGR chat. Usually when a player does this, and you can list the examples, usually when a player does this, they have had a fairly illustrious start to their career, right? They have definitely earned a new contract before getting to year 4 or 5, depending on where they were drafted. And they're getting franchise tagged when the reality is the franchise tag is probably $8 to $10 million less than what they deserve on an open market. And so, I mean, none of these are the case with Orlando. He hasn't had an illustrious career to this point. Yeah.
Right.
I think that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say that because then you guys are just going to keep going with it. But
I would think it gets done.
yeah, I'm with you, Holly. I mean, I still think the best scenario, and I can understand, wanting guaranteed money, in case of an injury, but I still think the best scenario is and however you want to structure it, whether it's the tag or a 1-year deal or a 1-year deal with options or whatever, to really give them a chance to prove it. Because then as a team, you have the security there. As Orlando, if you're even half as good as you think you're going to be, like you're demanding to get paid, then you have the opportunity to show it this year, and you can really drive up your price.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think it maybe even happens late enough on Friday to where we don't hear about the deal. Or if he signed his tag. But yeah, 3 o'clock on Friday is the deadline.
So I guess that depends on whose perspective you're looking at this from. Scott, are you looking at it from Orlando's perspective? You looking at it from the Chiefs' perspective? Like, whose perspective are we looking at? I mean, I guess the short, easy answer is compromise. But, we can say that without knowing what the negotiations are looking like right now. Oh, you guys summoned the genie. You woke up the sleeping giant.
What's up, boys? What's up,
Let
boys?
me get this off of there.
I think we got 12 people watching. Do we have 12 likes yet? Uh-oh. Can't.
Hey, KL368. Still don't know how they plan to
Welcome
sign
in.
Tyreek and upgrade the roster. We still don't even have a pass rush. So likely what they would have done is a lot of money, basically a lot of what they were going to be comfortable paying Tyreek for the next 3 years probably would have came in the form of a signing bonus, and Tyreek's salary this year would have been super low, like maybe $1 million or $2 million. And so, that number would have really jumped up year 3 especially. Yeah, probably not a whole lot different than what the Dolphins did, but I'd have to go back and look exactly how the Dolphins structured the first year or 2 of Tyreek's contract.
I think it's somewhere around 60 million guaranteed, 72 million guaranteed. Low number this year. Years, 4 and 5, he'll never see. Because it's like 45 million, something crazy, to get that APY up.
Right, but I'm talking
And don't worry about
specifically that first year.
Don't worry about the pass rush. They're going to get Robert Quinn.
This year? Chiefs are?
They'll go get him. He doesn't want to be in Chicago. He'll be our new Ingram.
I just want to
Wouldn't
say
mind
here.
seeing that.
I just want to say here really quick because I'm looking for the Tyreek Hill contract, and this could just be foreshadowing, or it could be a Freudian slip or something. But I went to search for Tyreek Hill over the cap, and instead what I typed in was over the hill. So
And Orlando's
Huge
deal.
Freudian slip.
Orlando's deal is going to get done next Friday by the deadline, and they're going to do it on Friday so it doesn't get out in the news until Monday's dump.
That's what I was getting at.
Because then the parts that do leak, the Chiefs won't have to hear anybody attacking it until Monday, and the ink's already dry.
I
don't have
know
to worry
why
about
they
keys
really care
attacking
about
them.
it.
It's the same thing when they wanted to keep it business as usual. They usually dump it on a Friday late. Like if you notice, like the NFL, when they suspend people, it generally comes out on a weekend when everybody's going to be busy doing something, and nobody can really report on it. Same thing.
Could have been last week, then.
Listen, I will say my piece when it happens, and that'll be it. Because, at this point, I can talk about it. Once it happens, there's no point in
And
even caring because
it,
I have no control over it. So it's not worth my energy.
At the end of it, we will say what we say at the end of everything that I'm involved in.
I muted his mic.
Gooch was right. You were like, Gooch was right again. That kid is a walking swami.
Kid?
I believe what we just witnessed here was Aaron's OCD. Did you just put us in the BAK order, Aaron?
I did indeed.
Yes, he did.
All right, I'm gonna throw this up really quick so we can look at it. So I'm gonna do the screen share on here of Tyreek's breakdown. So I don't need to worry about audio because it's just the website. So, and we'll be able to look at it here so you guys can see. All right, I'm gonna have to zoom this sucker in.
I'm gonna have to full screen mine.
Yeah, let me zoom it in for you. Figure out how to do that. I'm feeling like Gooch here.
I don't know what that means.
Like an old person who is technologically illiterate. No offense to those who are older than Gooch. Gooch, you're muted. I don't know if you did that on purpose.
I like hard copies of stuff. I don't even do P&Ls on the computer. I want to see everything.
Stupid picture.
It's got to be way easier on the computer.
Oh, I'm sure it is. And when I'm done dealing with it, I put it in the computer. But I like to see it. Like I like to see it in front of me.
Oh yeah. I'm much the same way. Like I don't even do. It's really hard for me to do like a Kindle book because I got to have something tangible. I got to be feeling it, touching it while I'm reading. All right, so I think this is good enough, right? You see that a lot better now?
Yeah.
All right, so you can see year one, that base salary is $1 million. Part of the prorated signing bonus is $5 million, right? Because the signing bonus itself is 5.5 million. You can spread the signing bonus over 5 years, so it's prorated. It's paid out all at once, right at the beginning. That's why it's called a signing bonus. But for the cap purposes, it can be spread up to 5 years. And so that 25.5 million only gets counted against the cap for each of the 5 years instead of 25 million at the beginning. So if you look at Tyreek's salary for that first year, he's making a little over 6 million, right? His cap hit's only 6.485 million.
But jumps up.
But you couldn't cut him if you wanted to because you have 52 million in dead cap if you did, and part of that is the 25 million in the signing bonus, and then there's a $10 million roster bonus for next season. Chances are they convert that to signing bonus, so then that's 10 million over 4 seasons, so that would add 2.5 million to 2024, 25, and 26, and it would reduce the 2023 number by 7.5 million to a very doable like 23, 24 million. And so that's one of the things that they'll probably do, but they structure these in a way just like we know from the Mahomes contract, so that the GM can move money around as they need to. So the first year, we could have done this. We could have taken a $6.485 million cap hit fairly easily. We probably also would have went to Patrick and asked him, to do the restructure this year instead of holding off to do one next year, if it came to that. But the reality is, like, it would have put more pressure on us to give Orlando what he wants, likely, to do both Tyreek and Orlando at the end of the day. But so that's how they could have did it, because if that year one number is so low, again, this year two number, it'll be lower than a $31 million cap hit, is my guess, that they'll convert some of this roster bonus into signing bonus. I mean, they could even take some of his base salary and convert part of that into signing bonus as well. Because, I mean, all it really does is it makes it harder to get out of the contract after 3 years. It bumps up that 2025 dead cap number to maybe 15 or 18 million instead of 2024. But
10 mil is still a lot to be out.
But part of that, I think, is gambling on, what happens with the salary cap over the next 4 years. So, You know, by 2023, it could be where it doesn't even not. That's the way it could be by 2023 or 2024 or 2025. So
You broke up there again.
I was just gonna say that, you know, for 2023 or 24 or 25, depending on how the salary cap is, you know, that $10 million cap hit could be nothing, especially if it jumps up like 15, 20, 25 million a year the next 2 or 3 years. All right, let's see, where are we at? I don't know, but this seems like something good to throw up there. It's Liz's fault. Yeah, for sure. I would be interested to know what their backup options are. But, yeah, I said what I said. Liz, you're the one that called him, right? It's like you don't look into the mirror and say Candyman 3 times and not expect for him to come.
Do you say Godfather?
Figured you
Grandfather?
learned this already.
Oh, I'm in the wrong area.
Take that, Matt. I will say, Matt, my wife, who wears glasses, would probably agree with you. I can definitely agree with you there. I'm surprised to hear Gooch say that, though, because Aaron, wasn't Gooch making the argument about why we wouldn't possibly go after Robert Quinn? Give me that speech again, Gooch. Robert Quinn wants out of Chicago because he wants to be paid like a top pass rusher, and Brett Veach has never signed anyone over the age of 27 to an extension. Something like that.
Brett Veach has never signed anyone over the age of 28 to a long-term deal.
It goes
Ever.
up every time he says it. It started
27?
He started out the very
28.
first time he said it was 26. Then he got up to 27.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what
Now
it
he's
is.
at 28.
Well, look at the people he's giving deals to, and look at the people that we've let go. Aside from Frank Clark, who got the restructure because we didn't want to kill our cap.
It's not really long term, though.
We'll get Robert Quinn on a 1-year deal, prove it deal, so he can try to get one more contract, and then he'll be gone too. But by that time, we'll know what Kango is. We'll know what half these people we got in are. Yeah. Galifianakis.
I mean, if you're going to do that, like, you could just go ahead and franchise tag him next year and trade him.
I should have waited
Franchise tag
for you
who?
to butcher it.
Quinn. If you're going to trade for him this year, you might as well franchise tag him next year and trade him. Next year. Get something out of him. That's what Bill Belichick would do.
Not with him. I think Bill would just cut him.
He'd let him walk and get the comp pick. All right. Well, do we have any more questions out
I
there?
think we've already done that. Doesn't this team have like 12 picks in next year's draft already?
Hey, I mean, it's in Kansas City. Let's get like 25.
There we go. You are correct, sir. What's that from, Gooch? Anybody?
900. That's not funny, but it's hilarious.
Beetle Gooch. If you know Beetlejuice, you should know what I said was from. It's not Jim McMahon. What's Ed McMahon?
Well, do we have any more questions in the chat, or Aaron or Gooch? Anything you want to say there?
Absolutely not.
Well, everybody, if that is it, then we'll let Gooch pay the bills and send us on home.
You know I got this. We appreciate anybody that watches us, whether religiously or in passing. We appreciate anybody that jumped on this live. All 12 of y'all, 10 of y'all still watching these crazy two boys. I'm going to promote the RGR stuff because we're still RGR, so make sure you check out the store, watch the lives, watch the video breakdowns. Ryan's moving. I think he's finally in his new house, so that's cool. Check us out. We're here all the time. We're waiting on Keys to put another HG out so we can hear some technical background and breakdown. Make sure you tell somebody you love them. I got to get back to work. Y'all be easy.
Thanks, guys and ladies. Peace out. We're going to hit that outro.
You got your team, and we got a kingdom. Ready for war, we score at will. We're the Super Bowl champs, the king of the hill.